You are welcome to the lecture in Religion, Morality, and Social Values in Africa. And in the series, today we are considering some Ghanaian values. And under this, we'll be looking at the following subtopics. So here is the outline for our discussion. First, we'll do some introduction, which will involve definitions of some concepts like values, and then also under the actual Ghanaian values, we'll be looking at respect for elders. This is number one. And then the second will be cooperation and mutual helpfulness. The third is kindness. And the fourth, truthfulness. The outline continues. Then we continue to look at justice, followed by patience, and then contentment, then honor, hospitality, and finally we look at gifts and gratitude. We'll start by looking at the definitions, and we are going to look at definitions of the term values. What are values? Technically, values are inference or generalizations made from norms to determine the motivations and sentiments of a people. This is very technical. But if we look at the dictionary, simply it is put as moral principles or standards. But, you know, this is a bit too general. And then also, we have the idea that they are beliefs about what is right and wrong and what is important in life. In fact, I like this part of the definition, what is important in life. Not everything is actually important, though people pursue them. So what is important in life? We have to underscore the word important. Important, you know. And according to Professor Csuc, moral values are those forms or patterns of conduct that are considered most worthwhile and thus cherished by a society. Some words have been made bold. For example, most worthwhile, and then cherished. It means that values are things that are worthwhile, and then also cherished by a society. Then, in simple terms, this one is my own. I listened and I got it from somebody who said that values are what is worth living for or dying for. This is very simple, but it speaks a lot. What will you live for, or what will you die for? In fact, living for something, it may be easy, but dying for something is not so easy. You know, so you ask yourself, what am I living for in this life? And in critical moments, what would I really die for? That will show what you value much in life. All right, we are now going to look at respect for and obedience to elders. This is African society, and in the African society, elders are very, very important. There are some factors that determine the respect and obedience to the elders. First, their age. Their age. They are old. You know, these days people are living to 80, 90, 100. that means that they are people that are aged. They are close to entering the ancestral world. And because of that, they are believed to have a sacred personality, because it is believed that very soon they die and become ancestors. They have more or less some link with the ancestral world, and so they are sort of revered. And then experience. They have lived long and they have seen a lot. They've gone through a lot, and that has given them experience. And it is said that experience is the best teacher, which means that they have learned a lot. They know more than we do, so far as life itself is concerned. This kind of knowledge is not book knowledge. It's about life knowledge. And then also, they have wisdom. Wisdom here is something that comes through what they know of life. Things they have learned about life, that has given them wisdom. And then they have also got wits. Wit means that they know how to put things across without causing offense. They seem to have some resources at their disposal which the young ones lack. So if there are cases, there is a problem, people tend to approach the elderly people for wisdom and for guidance. See, normally if there is a case and people don't know how to go about it, they have to take a decision. They say they are going to see the old lady. And that is a way of saying that we need some consultation, on that issue. And all because there is a belief that the elders have the knowledge and the necessary wisdom to guide them. All right, let's continue. There are proverbs that confirm or affirm what we are saying. One of these proverbs is, "Itri a edikan ene penny." The one who was born first is the elder. What it means here is that anyone who is older than you should be regarded as your elder. And then also, there's a proverb which says, if you are taller than your father, it does not mean you are his equal. Here, the understanding is that if you are well off, if you have more resources, it doesn't mean that you are above your elders. You are expected to respect your elders in spite of your riches or wealth. Today, young people get rich quickly. And many of us, if we compare ourselves to our parents, whether living or dead, we may be far richer than them. It doesn't mean that we should disrespect them or ignore them. No matter what, they have something that is probably more than riches, which will benefit us. Then also there is a proverb which says, "Deɛ ɔpanin te hɔ a ohu no, akwadaa gyina so a ohu." This is a proverb that derived from northern Ghana. The whole idea here is that the elders, by their experience and the knowledge they have gathered, know what may even happen years before they even take place. It's because experience has taught them those lessons. They can see far ahead. So that is what this whole proverb is saying. What the elder can see while sitting, the child cannot see even when standing on a higher ground. All that it means is that the child can never accumulate knowledge which will be more than that of the elder. And then the respect that is supposed to go to the elders, it's not only those in our families alone that should be respected. We should respect even those who are outside. In fact, it's to all elders, not only those who are in our families. Then it is said that the words of the elders are authoritative and should be obeyed. Openi anu asem, esin sumai. It means that the word of the elder is more potent than a charm. And to seek explanation for errands that elders may send us to do may be regarded as disobedience. In fact, it's expected that children or the young ones obey without asking questions. This is what African tradition, demands. And then it's also said that children are not to use proverbs in responding to elders. This is my question. And the question that I'm asking is why? Well, discussions on this has shown that proverbs actually are like the language of the elders. It's their preserve. And children are to rather learn instead of trying to also use proverbs to respond when elders talk. A child who tends to use proverbs is seen as behaving like an elder. But our people also respect children who are wise. So it is said that that we speak to the wise child in Proverbs. See, so what the statement is trying to say here is that perhaps children may use Proverbs, but in a very limited way, and rather take time to learn from the elders. As we move further on this, respect is commanded, but not demanded. The word command here means being able to actually demonstrate that you are respectable, so that people, by your own conduct and behavior, will respect you. Not that you should really call people to respect you. That is why it is said that respect is commanded, but not demanded. It is your own personality, your own attitude that will make others respect you. Then we also see here that respect is reciprocal. If you respect other people, they also respect you. And there is this proverb which says, "Opening didi na wenyamua, uyi na yoaho." If the elder eats and does not leave some surplus, he washes the bowl himself. The meaning is interesting. What it means here is that, you see, the elder who wants others to respect him should also show due consideration. But the elder is expected to be generous, you see, and make provision for young people to show that he cares for them. If he does that, then the young ones will be happy to show respect. In fact, the respect will come spontaneously. Now, we've done a lot on respect for elders. We are going to look at cooperation and mutual helpfulness. This is a value which is very much cherished in the farming communities. Most African societies are agrarian. They do farm work. And the Akans have a system that they call a Nobwa system, farming cooperatives, helping one another on the farms. And in this system, everybody contributes. In fact, there is no room for laziness. Those who are lazy or irresponsible or who show individualism don't get the necessary help from others. We continue with it. This value, cooperation and mutual helpfulness, it is very much demonstrated when a member of the society dies. You see, the bereaved family is not allowed to bear the burden of organizing the funeral alone. Because there is this proverb which says, "Duakrojim frama ebu." You know, when there is funeral, it's like a great storm hitting a family, and the whole society goes to the person's aid. If it is a small community, you know, people show their sympathy in one way or the other. They help to organize the funeral, and they also donate to cover the costs of the funeral. It's all to show that they are showing cooperation and mutual helpfulness. Yes, one tree cannot withstand the storm. We'll move on with this. Self-reliance is not cherished in the African society. Why? Because human beings are not like palm trees to be self-reliant. We need the help of others. Talking about cooperation and mutual helpfulness, we see it in business. It's an idea that is employed in modern business. There are companies that are doing investment through mutual funds. You know, Data Bank has a product like that. And then also we have a new insurance company known as the Old Mutual. So the idea of mutual help, helping one another, is something which also promotes business. We have credit unions, you know, and then agricultural cooperatives. In fact, in the Ministry of Agriculture, there is a whole department for cooperatives. And then we have Csuc schemes. All these are business models which today are helping people in business, in agriculture, and other schemes. So that tells you that it's a powerful value. Then we come to kindness. Kindness involves sharing what you have with other members of the group. It is said that when the palm tree ripens, birds eat some. In fact, it will be discovered that the palm tree, when the birds eat, some of the fruits fall down. And once you see that there are fruits down there on the floor, on the ground, that means there is a fruit, a big fruit up there, which has become ripened. The meaning of this saying is that it is very natural to let other people benefit of your wealth. But some people have made great wealth, and they have more than they need. And so it's expected that they will be generous to let others also benefit. And that is kindness. There is a popular saying, one man kills the elephant for all to eat. You know the size of the elephant. It's just too big for one hunter. So the places where they eat elephants, if a man kills an elephant, he announces, it makes it known, and others will go and take their share of this big animal. If you translate this to wealth, some people, by their business acumen, have been able to kill elephants. Elephants in terms of big businesses, which bring big profits. And it's expected that they will extend a hand of generosity, kindness, to those who are not so fortunate in the society. Then kindness also has utilitarian value. It is a utilitarian virtue. What is this philosophy? According to the utilitarian philosophy, a good act should produce the greatest happiness for the greatest number. What it means here is that anything that we do, we should consider the benefit that it will bring other people. And kindness is something that rather benefits others than the one who is acting. So we say that it is utilitarian virtue. Truthfulness. This is a very important moral value. It comes from the account word for truthfulness is nokware. In Fanti, there is this word, anokor, having one mouth. If you have two mouths or you are double-tongued, it means you don't speak the truth. So having one mouth means that you speak the truth. Truthfulness is inducted right from birth at the outdooring or naming of a baby. But during the ceremony, the baby is spoken to by the elderly person who is more or less holding the baby, and the person speaks directly to the baby and advise the baby to be truthful, to say what he or she has seen, not what he or she has heard. In Twi, it means kania wahu, then kania watie. To continue this, it is expected that one will be straightforward and precise in speech. Long speeches or long winding statements are regarded as full of untruth. So it is said that if the face of the drum is there, do not beat the sides. Truthfulness implies faithfulness. Here, what it means is that promises are to be kept. And there is a saying that what your mouth has uttered is waiting for you. Many of us rush to make promises. In marriage, people make promises. They pledge to be faithful, to love, even unto death. So they say, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in life and in death. And yet, we are seeing many divorce cases. The promises that were made are being broken. And people don't really care. So, we have to be careful what we say. Because what your mouth has uttered is waiting for you. Meaning you have to fulfill it. There are some proverbs to support truthfulness. And the Swahili people are those people who live in East Africa, Tanzania, Zambia, and some parts of South Africa. They speak the language known as Swahili. And one of their proverbs is, speaking the truth is no disgrace. And it is said that an unpleasant truth is better than a pleasant lie. If we are to discuss this, what it means is that the truth is always better than a lie. A lie may look sweet, pleasant, but ultimately is going to hurt when the truth comes out. A truth may be unpleasant today, but it will still be the right thing to do. Justice. That is number 5. Justice demands fairness, fair judgment, Twi, the word is attentenene. Attentenene simply means straight judgment. And fairness here demands that we hear all sides of a case before judgment is passed. So in our tradition, when there is a case, all the sides of a case are heard. People are allowed to express their opinions, what they have seen about the matter. And sometimes the matter is, or the case is adjourned to enable people think through, or even to allow others to also have time to express their views. Just judgment is expected of elders and chiefs in disputes. And we see this in marriage problems between husband and wife. And there are land disputes also, and stillment and distillment disputes. These are matters that often come to the chief's palace for judgment. And it's expected that the elders and the chiefs that sit in courts will be fair. That they will not be persuaded to pass judgments to favor those who are powerful, or those who have money, or those who may have even given a bribe or a gift. Judgments should be fair and not partial. In fact, a judge is expected to hear two sides of a case before passing judgment. And we see this in a Swahili maxim, that is a saying which says, the judge has no preferences, meaning that the judge is expected to behave as if he does not know anybody. He's only considering the evidence that have been presented. And I can also say that in judging cases, we help our ears, not our brothers. What it means is that the judge should consider what has been presented, what he has heard in court, not what is coming from a relative, somebody that he knows. The relationship with those who give evidence does not matter to the judge. So they say that we help our ears, not our brothers. We want to move on to patience. Patience is a rare commodity. And the notion of patience in the traditional society is based on time and destiny. There is a belief that everything has its own time. What it means is that there is an order for things to happen in life or in one's life. It's as if everything has been predetermined or prearranged, and they happen according to the time that has been set for them. Which means that one should not rush about things. Patience, in this sense, also means that we do the right things at the right time. The time factor is very important. If you do the right thing at the wrong time, it means you don't have patience. And we have to also realize that patience is not procrastination. Putting off what should have been done today does not mean you are patient. It only means you are procrastinating. And procrastination is ominous. It means that it's not safe. It's even dangerous. Does not bring any blessing. Then also, patience is about self-control. Being able to control our temperaments. There is this saying that with patience, one can achieve the impossible. What it means is that if we exercise patience, even the most difficult things can be overcome. There is a statement or a saying that ntoboasie etutu nkokoɔ. Kokoɔ is a hill or a mountain. And with patience, one can move mountains. Meaning little by little, one can overcome the problem that appears to be a mountain. Then another saying is that uye brebra uware ohene yere. It means that with patience, you can marry a chief's wife. It appears to be impossible. But the whole idea here is that see, the chief's wife is more or less, for the chief, it's a taboo to even declare any romantic interest in her. You'll be killed. But if the chief dies, then that woman will be available. And if you are interested, then you can have her. What it means here is that you have to wait, because it's time that will bring you the opportunity to get what you want. Patience can be injurious. I mean, you can hurt yourself if you are not patient. There is a saying that if you get annoyed at the housefly, you bruise your saw. So when you break once na, you break ukro. This is the Akan saying, which means that if you are impatient and you allow your anger to get the better part of you, your outrage may cause you harm and even imprisonment. In fact, there are many people who are imprisoned because they couldn't control their temper. They raised their hand and hit somebody, and the person probably fell and died. Or it was domestic violence, and the matter was reported. The person got arrested and therefore was jailed. So it's important to be patient, to bring your temper under your control. The next value is contentment. This is one of the values that I like so much. Contentment implies being satisfied with one's possessions. But it does not mean self-sufficiency, because we need to be interdependent. We have to depend on others. So that means contentment doesn't mean that you just ignore help and say that you are all right. Really, what contentment implies is that we make the most of our available resources. There is a saying that "Se nsuo nso adware a, ɛso nom." What it means is that if water is not enough to bath with, it may be enough for drinking. Which means that you can always make use of what you have. Yes, contentment. It is not complacency. Complacency is when you just sit there and not making any effort to improve your situation. But we have to strive for better. The only thing is that unhealthy competition is abhorred. Unhealthy competition will breed conflict, and so we are not to get involved in that. Competition is good, but it should not go to the extreme. After all, it is said that all fingers are not the same. You can never be like the other person. You can be what you are made to be. And you can improve yourself. There is a Swahili proverb which says, avarice is the root of all evil. Avarice. Avarice here means not being satisfied with what you have. Being greedy. Greedy for gain. You know, when you are never satisfied. Always wanting more. Always wanting more. Even what you have may not be satisfactory for you. You know, you desire to have what others have. That is avarice. It brings about greed. And in fact, in Ghana, this is one of the things that is really, you know, destroying the nation. You know. If you look at this proverb, it upholds moderation and temperance. Moderation here means not going to the extremes of life to acquire possessions. And temperance means being able to bring your desires under control so that greed does not get the better part of you. There is something in the Bible which I think that will help us in this. You know, when Moses first encountered God in the burning bush, he got afraid. And then God gave him an assignment to go to Pharaoh and ask for the freedom of the Israelites. He was afraid. But God wanted to show that he was with him and his power will be with him. So he asked Moses, what is in your hand? And we find this in Exodus chapter 4, verse 2. At that time, Moses was a shepherd man, keeping the sheep of his father-in-law. And he had the shepherd's staff, the long stick, which they used to control the sheep. And God said, put that stick down. He put it down, and it turned into a snake. And he was afraid. And God asked him to pick the thing. And he was afraid. And he told him again, he had courage, and he picked it, and it became a stick. You see, that was what was in his hand, the stick. And with that stick, great miracles were performed by Moses through the power of God. So we always have to also ask ourselves, what is in your hand? At this time, you may have your pen in your hand. Some people have their mobile phones in their hand. It depends on what you do with your pen. It depends on what you do with that phone. Because there is a lot of things that you can do with it to benefit you. In fact, the pen is so important. And there's a proverb which says the pen is mightier than the sword. It stands for what? Scholarship. If we pursue scholarship, our studies with a serious interest, and we don't give up, if we are determined and diligent, then we'll see the power of God at work. We'll be transformed. Right, so much for contentment. Now we want to look at honor. Honor implies respect, esteem, veneration. It is that which attracts esteem, something in a person, or it may be an event. Honor is something that is sought after by individuals, the community, or the society. Nobody wants to be dishonored or disgraced. Honor is a sentiment displayed when a national football team is victorious or defeated. If a football team is victorious, the nation feels honored. The days when the Black Stars were winning great victories and even scored and won matches with the United States and other European countries, Ghana became highly honored. And Ghanaians felt sure that they were truly honored among the nations of the world. And as our former president would say, that it was a great time to be a Ghanaian. But when you are defeated, what have you got to show? You bow in shame. You feel dishonored. Talking about honor, Csuc, whose book was used to compile the notes, say that an Asante man feels dishonored when a woman calls him Sebio Kwasia or a fool. This kind of insult is regarded as an unpardonable offense. On the other hand, a man who raises his hand to strike a woman, no matter what the cause, is considered disgraceful and shameful. In fact, people would even say that he's a coward. It's not expected that a man will ever hit a woman. Then, honor is also expressed in labor, the things we do, work. You know, in the African tradition, there is division of labor at home and even on the farms. And it's based on sex, age, and status. And according to Csuc, no respecting husband, unless in dire necessity, will perform a job which is proper for women. Meaning that it's not expected that a man does things that are actually regarded as women's job or chore. For example, in the traditional society, it's not expected that a man will go to the market and do shopping. The marketplace in our tradition belongs to women. There are some things that are expected of men. The man is expected to provide accommodation, to build a house. The man is also expected to take care of the children's education, to pay the school fees, you see. And the women are expected to do the lighter things, like buying food, cooking, fetching water, and things like that. If you are a boy, you are not expected to engage in activity of girls. And when we were small boys, you know, playing games, the girls had their games like ampe or aso. I mean, a boy was not expected to join them, the girls, in this kind of thing, you know. And then also playing at cooking, nkuro. Bema obo nkuro there, that is a misnomer. It's not expected of a boy to do that. Girls, yes, they have to learn how to cook. So they do playing at cooking, ombo nkuro. Bema there, ombo nkuro. See. And then, looking at all this, we see that honor is maintained by doing what befits your age, and then your sex, and then your status. Here we are moving to the last but one value, which is hospitality. It is said that if a stranger is polite enough to greet and is not suspected of foul intentions, he's given all the assistance he requires, including free shelter, food, and sometimes money. We often hear of the proverbial Ghanaian hospitality. And this is what it means, that traditionally, as Ghanaians, we are supposed to provide for the needs of the stranger. In the olden days, an observation was made by a European who was in South Africa. And he said, this is what he said: a native or African will give his treasured or best house and his evening meal to a guest without the slightest thought that he is doing anything extraordinary. This is not something that is different from what happens here in Ghana too. In many homes, when you have a guest, if you are in one-room accommodation, then you vacate your room and even let the guest have the place. If the person is a woman, then the man will vacate the room so that the guest can share the room with his wife. But if that person is a man, then the woman will rather leave. The whole thing is to make some sacrifices so that the guest will feel comfortable. And during such a time, that's when the women will cook the kind of meal that the man even can't get to eat. They bring the things that they have kept away, you know, the crockery, the nice plates, cups, cutlery are used to serve the guests. This is the African hospitality, and it's all free. The whole thing is free. In fact, what happens in European countries or the Western world, bed and breakfast, lodging, it's something that is alien. It's in modern times that we are beginning to see guest houses and other facilities like bed and breakfast, lodging. It's not our traditional kind of thing at all. In fact, it's said that the stranger does not sleep in the streets. But today, it's a different thing altogether. We are seeing streetism. People who live and sleep on streets. The question is why? Well, the world is changing. Our society has changed considerably. So many people now are on the streets. Kumasi, Accra, and urban centers. Modern life has changed our values. And in fact, there are strangers that can also be dangerous. And no one will open his house to a person he does not know. It's all about security. Finally, we are going to discuss gifts and gratitude. Yes, gifts are part of our tradition. There are many occasions when gifts are given. And when a gift is presented, it's expected that it will be accepted. In many instances, to refuse a gift amounts to open declaration of enmity. So gifts are to be accepted, and then gifts are to be appreciated by showing gratitude. When somebody gives you something, you have to show gratitude. And people will go to further extent. A single thank you may not be enough. Depending on the gift, one may even organize a whole team or a group relatives, to accompany the person to go and say thank you. Gratitude is expressed publicly to make the good gesture of the giver known to all. We see this at funerals. When people donate, it's mentioned in public. The gifts and gratitude should match with the status, the social status of the giver or the recipient, and then the nature of the gift. So many things are involved here. The giver should consider his or her position so that the gift that he gives will match that position. I mean, let's think of funerals. When we attend funerals, we give donations. And the donations are mentioned. So, considering your own position in the society, that is what should, more or less, determine the amount of money that you donate. And also the one you are giving to. You have to consider the person. So the giver and the recipient, their status is important. And then the nature of the gift. If you want to show gratitude, you have to look at the nature of the gift. A very expensive gift will require that the gratitude that is shown will be elaborate and very profound to match the gift. We are coming to the end of this discussion, and there are some issues that we need to more or less reflect on. Values that we have discussed, they are not things that can be forced on anybody. They are things that are to be cherished. In fact, if you don't abide by them, if you don't practice them, nobody will take you to court. But the only thing is that people get offended if we don't show them, if we don't express them, if we don't practice them. Some people will even think that we are not civilized because we are not showing those values. There are things that are happening in the modern society that have affected these values. Some factors of modernity have eroded the basis of our traditional values. Nowadays, individualism has set in. People are only caring for themselves and their own personal interest and ignoring others. We are learning a lot from the West through the things that we see and also what we experience from there when we travel and come back. So the question is, will these values survive the modern trend? Can we really do something to restore them? I think we should all consider what we can do to restore some of these lost values. I believe that our society will be the better if we start working on these values. Maybe we have to do some sankofa in this. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you.